All right, 80% of programmers are not happy.
Wakes you up at 6 a.m. and you have to go to work again because you didn't die in your sleep. Well,
I do wake up at 6 a.m. It's nice to wake up at 6 a.m. You should be happy to wake up at 6 a.m., okay? You should be happy.
well, you're not alone. 80% of professional developers know this feeling, according to the 2024 Stack Overflow survey results. 1 in 3 programmers actively hate their job.
Damn. That's a crazy number, by the way. To have 1 in 3 actively hate your job or not happy with your job. And only 20%. Man, oof, that hurts. That hurts.
While nearly half are just plowing through life shackled to their comfort zone. And that leaves only 20% with delusions of happiness. Personally, I could pound my keyboard all day and be happy, and that's why I found these results quite shocking.
I actually do find that result. Well, I mean, I guess I can't find it too shocking because I did work at a company earlier on called Schedulicity, and I honestly thought I would rather like take salt and put it on my eyeballs than to go through working at that place. I would rather step on a Lego 3 times an evening than work at that place. It was awful. It was just not a good place. I felt dead on the inside. Why was it so bad? There was absolutely no drive or excitement within the company at all. It was just like, you know those scenes with where it's like a desert and then one of those what the hell? Why can't I remember what those things are called? Shit. Why can't I remember? Tumbleweed. Dude, I literally have tumbleweeds on my property. How did I not remember that? Anyways, tumbleweeds. It's like a gas station with the tumbleweed. It was a mirage. It was super depressing. And even though I'd only work for like 5 hours a week and the rest of the time just work on my own stuff, it just made me so depressed. I don't know what it was. I absolutely struggled, even though it was amazing for my time. It just hurt.
Programmers are well paid, get tons of vacation, can work remote, and even when forced back into the office, they usually have nap pods and adult ball pits to help ward off depression. But apparently that's not enough. In today's video, we'll dive.
I don't think toys at work make a job any better. I really am not convinced of it, and maybe that's my old age speaking. Maybe when I was a kid, having like the ping pong tables and the Xboxes and all that crap made it great. But maybe I've just gotten old and angry. But now for me, it's just like I don't want to go to work in which there's any of that. It could be a boomer take. This could very well be a boomer take, or maybe it's something a little bit different. Maybe I'm not a toddler anymore, right? Like maybe I'm no longer a toddler. So therefore, it just doesn't. Yeah, I would use the fuck out of a nap pod, to be honest. Okay, fair. Someone's just like, so it's sex toys. I think he's being sarcastic. Yes, he is being sarcastic, but there literally exists an entire world where there's all these companies with actual like play toys for adults, right? Apparently, water cooler, coffee machine, and fruit Tuesdays or Thursdays are not enough of a distraction for TikTok brains. They're just not.
Dissect the brain of the modern code monkey and examine its weird environment to find the truth about why farmers and plumbers are statistically more happy, and most importantly, what you can do to cope about it. It is July 29th, 2024, and you're watching the Code Report. Last week, the Stack Overflow annual survey was released with over 65,000 responses from.
We actually read through a huge portion of this thing, and they still, by the way, if you're wondering, they still have crazy graphs that just make no sense, and they still have crazy categories. Every single time you look at it, you're just like, what the hell is this category? Why is CMake under the embedded category? I'm just hurting.
From professional developers around the world, and it contains a ton of surprising insights about the current state of programmers and technology. Not only will we look at this data, but also anecdotes from strangers on the internet to show.
To be fair though, remember, what is Stack Overflow? So this is generally how I think about Stack Overflow, is let's pretend this is a timeline of experience. So when you're new, you Google a lot. And when you Google, you almost always, due to just amazing SEO, you go to Stack Overflow. So I typically think that the Stack Overflow crowd looks something like this, where the bulk of people are here and it has some sort of like kind of like one of those kind of curves going on. You know what I mean? It has one of this type of like world. So when you're seeing this many people responded to a survey, you're getting a really huge bias towards new people. And then on top of that, the people that are here convinced are code Karens. Hey, halt, sir! That question was ill-formatted. I shall fix your question due to you being an idiot. I got it. Hey, that's a duplicate question. That's a duplicate question. This grammar is completely out of control. I shall fix your grammar. That question was answered. It's just the worst. It's actually the worst. It's just the worst. Ugh. Or even better, the answerer that's just like, I know you asked question A, but you know what's really nice? Question B. Stop using your stupid library, and you should just raw dog out this one. It's just like, man, sometimes, you know, I mean, you know, even if you think the guy's doing some sort of XY problem, the guy, you know, he asked why. Just let the man try to solve his own stupid problem, okay? So anyways, there's all these Stack Overflow people, right? And they're all here. And when a survey comes out, the survey probably is going to look something like this. Maybe the survey actually will optimize into these guys because these guys are around just answering questions all the time. So they're just like, yeah, get us in. But it's going to be heavily skewed towards new people. So why wouldn't new people be happy? My assumption is a lot of this data that's deriving with unhappiness and the popularity of technologies are all these people that come in. When they start to learn, they start using like React server components. They're told to use Clerk because you never roll your own auth. They're told to do all these great things. They use something like Tailwind and all this crap. And everything's so fantastic, and they're just like, oh, man, I'm on Vercel. Oh, this is so awesome. Everything's great. I don't know it. I don't have to know anything, and I can just launch everything, and I just press a couple buttons, and everything's fantastic. This is so great. And then they get to a real job, and it's still using Mocha. It's on React 14. It's mostly just using jQuery for 3/4 of the site. And the backend's written with Django, but not Django modern, but Django 2012. Or Java, Uncle Bob style, with a build system in Grunt. Like, this is what actually happens. And I think that this, like, river right here of what you're told you're going to do versus what you're going to do, i.e. insert Mr. Incredible meme, this is truly a big problem. And I think this is where a lot of unhappiness comes from, is that you expect this world with no complication, everything's nice and padded, and man, you could build the world's greatest to-do app. I mean, your to-do app is so beautiful. It has like 3 lines of code, and it just looks so awesome. Like, look at those 3 lines. They're so beautiful. Look at them. Would you look at them? No, zoom in even further. No, zoom in even further. No, zoom in even further. Further. More. But it's actually not that good, because it's not engineering of any kind. Classic expectation versus reality meme. Yeah, that's my whole guess here. But anyways, let's go. Let's see what Fireship has to say. Because when he said something that triggered all this. I forget what he triggered.
It's about the current state of programmers and
there you go. Stack Overflow being the current state of programmers. I don't necessarily believe it's actually the current state of programmers, nor do I think it's indicative of anything to do with programmers. I think it's what it is largely dictated by either, like, don't worry, I got this answer, Fedora wearing well actually software engineer, or B, completely brand new and stumbled upon this via Google. How often do I use Stack Overflow? My guess is I've probably used Stack Overflow in the last 4 years, probably 8 times, 10 times, maybe 20 times. Big reason, of course, is that I am learning Zig, and Zig has literally no documentation. And so sometimes I accidentally fall into Stack Overflow.
technology. Not only will we look at this data, but also anecdotes from strangers on the internet to shed light on the underappreciated problems faced by those who code. Reason number 1, the dollar bills, y'all. Money can't buy happiness, but let's be real. You've never seen anyone cry while driving a Lambo. Programmers are well paid, but not as well paid as you might think. They say if you learn PHP, you're guaranteed a Lambo, but here's a reality check. PHP is almost the lowest paid language with a median salary of $49K. And to make matters worse, this was a decline from last year. The reality is that every PHP millionaire, like Zuck or Levels, is also an entrepreneur. The actual problem with PHP is that it's popular, and you'll notice that less popular specialized languages like Erlang and low-level languages like Rust earn better salaries. The best way...
I would also say, I think he might have... I think he's implying this, but when you have a low-level specialty language, you're working on like a few things. Like right now, you have Ghosty, you have Tiger Beetle, and you have Bun for Zig. Those are like your big Zig. Those are like your big Zig languages right now. Like that's it. And so because of that, because you have Ghosty, Tiger Beetle, and Bun, to be able to get a job here, it's like, are you a terminal expert? Are you a database expert? Are you a systems programming expert? And or like you can build the TypeScript type checking, right? Like there's just this like really, it's just like such specialty jobs. So Zig's pay is way up. Whereas PHP, it's like, can you work on my mother's WordPress site? This, for whatever reason, I know it's going to be shocking, does not pay as well as the database expert. And so when I hear like, oh, PHP doesn't pay that much, it's just like, yeah, that's because anybody can do it. And the projects are anybody projects, right? Like they're really anybody projects. You could be in programming for like a half a year and be pretty productive in PHP, and you could make some decent money, right? When I say decent, I mean, it's better than an Arby's chef, right? And you're working in a nice environment, and then you use it as a platform to hopefully do something better, right? Then why only PHP coders have Lambos? Because to start a company, you want to be able to start it and scale it for some amount of time. And if you start this one's going to get me in trouble. All right, here we go. We're doing it. And if you start it with all of this crap, you're going to go broke because Vercel's going to charge you too much. React server components are going to take too long and are unusable on any other platform. Clerk.js is going to charge you way too much per user. And Tailwind's pretty awesome, okay? Tailwind, we can all agree Tailwind's really not all that bad. That's a fine one, okay? We can skip laughing at Tailwind. But the rest gonna make you broke. And so you actually can't get your startup past like your seed stage. Whereas PHP, they're going to just be hosted on some sort of stupid VPS on Linode for $5 a month while making $1 million a month. And they're going to just be like, well, there we go. I guess we're just making a lot of money instead.
Way to make more money, though, is to simply respawn in the United States, where salaries are higher,
Yep.
or learn how to talk to people so you can become a manager someday. Paradoxically, though, the depression rates are much higher in the United States than, say, Southeast Asia. So maybe it is true that money doesn't actually buy happiness. If you're getting into programming just
It's very true. By the way, that last point was like super deep. There does come a point where making more money does not make you happier. This is just true. It's just true and factual. If anything, you'll almost start doing things that make you kind of more sad. You're trying to fill up that life hole with all the sushi dinners you can, and then you realize that sushi dinners and going home to your empty apartment and living the dream life actually isn't the dream life.
Just for the money, you might want to rethink that plan. Reason number 2, technical debt. The number one shared frustration among professional developers is technical debt. And this is what technical debt actually looks like. This code base is ugly and flawed, but it gets the job done, so we'll just keep building on top of it because starting over is too hard. This process goes on for years and decades until the code base is filled with to-do, I'll fix it later comments. And when you run git blame to find out why the build fails when you remove this one line of code, it pulls up the obituary of some guy who worked there 8 years ago. That means the best thing to do is just not touch this code. We all want to do good work, but it's nearly impossible when faced with soul-sucking technical debt. But what can you do about it? Well, to be honest, pretty much nothing. It's no one programmer's fault, but a systemic issue caused by reason number 3, hustle.
So A, I don't think it's caused by hustle or die. But B, I believe the moment you accept the reality that all code that you did not write in the present moment is garbage, and you contain no other expectation, you'll be a lot happier. You'll just be a happy person when you go, I'm going to work at a FANG company. I bet you there's some horrifying technical debt. You know what? I bet you when I go in there, I will actually be completely horrified by what I see. But you know what? I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do a good job. Maybe I'll refactor something small. And that's the reality. Is like if you go in there with any other attitude, I think you're gonna be sad. I think that if you let people write code with absolutely no pressure and to write the world's most perfect code, I think you would have identical, terrible code in 6 months.
or die culture. As you write code, you've got tech lead pressuring you to close out all these tickets before the end of the sprint, who's being pressured by the engineering manager to ship this product by the end of the quarter, who's being pressured by the VP to execute on the product strategy, who's being pressured by the CEO to jack up revenue, who's being pressured by BlackRock to beat earnings, who's being pressured by anonymous deep state trillionaires to fund interdimensional wars beyond your comprehension. The machine has to keep moving, and all this pressure is eventually released through the boots on the ground software engineers, which come in the form of unrealistic timelines and expectations. Now, what you can do about it is quit your job. The turnover rate among software engineers is extremely high because, unlike many other industries, you can often make a lot more money by switching jobs, but you still might not be happy if you end up working for a corporate dinosaur, where you become nothing more.
It is sad that we have to switch jobs. I do think we would have less shitification, generally speaking, in the software world if we took more time, or if engineering managers took more time to read the field and HR, determine proper salaries, and give out pay raises instead of letting people leave. I really do think that constantly switching jobs for more money is just like, that's just such an awful way to go about things. Like especially if you like your job. What happens if you just have a job you don't mind? It's pretty good. It's okay. It's not the world's greatest job. It's not the world's worst job. Totally great place to be happy. You're gaining all this tribal knowledge. You have all this ability to move within the organization. Dude, give that guy a raise. Don't let him leave. What are you doing? Like, really, what are you doing? Don't let somebody leave like that. That person is worth so much more. Because when they leave, whatever product they're working on stops getting improved for some while of time before you can actually get somebody hired into the position. Then, when they're hired in the position, they're not effective for some amount of time. Then, when they are starting to become effective, they actually don't have all the connections you have where you can actually go and talk to all these people and get things done in a wider area of effect. Then, you also have no camaraderie with any of your teammates, so your teammates aren't necessarily thinking about you, and you just don't have the same communication style and all that. So then the company ends up paying like a year's worth of time distributively for engineers over the course of a couple months. Plus, it actually cost them like literally $100,000 when they could have just paid you $20,000 more. It's just like, yo, dog, don't be so stupid. Just give these people a raise that you see that are successful in your company and move on. It's stupid. It's actually stupid for you to do this. They would rather have the money. They spend more money in the end. It's not about them having the money. Like, really, be greedy, companies. Be greedy and just pay your employees more so you don't have turnover. Like, it's actually stupid to lose your team every 2 years. It's wild. It's actually, like, it blows my mind. I don't even have a way to, like, relate this, why this is so true. They lose so much on onboarding, recruiting, and then tribal knowledge, all of that. And plus your product becomes shitified because then everything becomes, because you got to remember, when you're new to a code base, not only does it look bad to you, you don't even know the reasons why it's there. So it's like double awful legacy. You're like, oh, this is both shit and it's stupid. And you're just like, you just have no idea. You know what I mean? It's just crazy.
More than a cog. Many companies are so bloated with bureaucracy that it becomes nearly impossible to get anything done. When programmers have to go to meetings to schedule pre-meetings to discuss the agenda for the upcoming meeting about last week's meeting, they start to become disillusioned. Viktor Frankl showed us how a man can find meaning in life despite the most horrific of circumstances, like an extermination camp, but he never had to get programming work done between 7 meetings with product managers who have conflicting requirements. Meetings might kill your focus, but ultimately, it's hard to be happy if you feel like your work is contributing.
I mean, I've written that. You know what? I'm not going to lie. We've all written that. Okay. We've all written catch error. You add a logging line and then you throw the error. Okay. That's effectively errors as values. But if you write this literal line where you just catch and throw, you are a bad person. You are a bad person. But if you write catch, log something, then throw, I mean, dog, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? You can't help that, okay? Okay, you can't. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that one. Guilty.
contributing nothing of value to the world. Now, even if you have a great job, a great salary, and a great boss, you'll probably get laid off around the age of 25 when you become too old to code. All the recent layoffs and the hangover from the COVID boom has blackpilled a large segment of the industry. But programming can also be very unhealthy physically. According to science, being chained to a chair all day is more unhealthy than smoking. But also according to science, exercise is one of the best, if not the best, medicine for depression. So that's an easy bug to fix.
For those that don't know, the UK was talking about implementing exercise as a first response to depression. So when somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm feeling really depressed, the doctor's like, well, before I can give you medication, you need to start working out X days a week, which is probably really obvious. You know, just like for a second, just think about life. We have used our bodies to build society for like the last forever years, and now we don't move anymore. And there's something about that that's probably, you know, our brain and our body aren't just somehow disconnected. So a bit of movement and sweating is probably really good for you. Like it probably changes a whole set of things. Yeah, classic British W. One of the few of them. Spirituality is at least somewhat linked to happiness. I think it depends on the spirituality, because not all spiritualities are created equal. You know, like I'm not sure if I don't know if you could throw Buddhism, worshiping Satan, and Christianity all into the same boat of spiritualism. And then, of course, liberals waking up on calling yoga spiritualism. I'm not sure which one that is. Like, whatever all of that is, you know, like they're not all created equal. And so I can't quite tell where those all go. Depends on the spirits. Yep. Pretty normal. Drink milk, touch grass, classic. Wait, hold on. Say that again? I think the UK just passed the US in the percentage of obese people. Holy cow. Damn, I would not have thought that about the UK. I always heard people over in the European region have all this really nice natural food and everything is great. That can't be real, because in America we like literally drink aspartame. That can't be real. I actually refuse to believe that. Yeah, but we have Ozempic. Let's go Ozempic. How do they eat with those teeth? Damn, that's harsh. Okay, hey, you can't make fun of people's teeth, okay? Yo, I think it's kind of, how about we all go back to something different? It's a little crazy that we've all agreed as a society we should straighten our teeth. Like, I know I got straight teeth and all, but it's kind of crazy that we all like, hey, you know what we need to do? We need to incur a $5,000 to $10,000 cost for everybody to have straight teeth. Like, that's kind of crazy talk that we all agreed to. Like, if everybody's teeth was all effed up, we'd be like, yeah, that's cool, totally normal. Oh no, are we effing? Oh no, oh my gosh, I'm dropping all my frames right now. We're so effing. Oh no. Hey, the name is here. I'm going to watch the rest of this really quickly,
but
even though we're dropping all of our
80%
frames.
of programmers are not happy. The best way to cope is to realize that out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls, and the most massive characters are seared with scars. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching. And
True and factual. Very good ending right there. Very good ending. I like that. All right, we're back. We back. Oh my goodness, Lithium, don't do it. Don't do it, Lithium. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sorry that we did all this flip. Good luck editing this ending. This ending sucked. I dropped a bunch of frames. Nothing went well. Then I talked about Satan worshiping and then fat people. And I used the term obese, which apparently is a slur, which I don't believe you. And then all these things combined, and I did that. So, hey, guess what, Flip? Good luck editing that one again.